All right, good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening. It's good to be back. How was our weekend? I hope we had a restful weekend. Um, it's a new week again, so I think welcome back to class. I think that would be very good for me to say. Welcome back to class. All right, this evening we'll be looking at functions, list comprehension, reusable codes, and data sources. You can just call it writing reusable code and working with data sources. I hope you can hear me. Good. Okay. That's good. That's good. Everybody can hear me. Fine. Okay. I'm sure somebody will be saying, wow, we've gone through functions before. But I tell you, functions are the basis of writing with reusable code. Somebody said restful with anaconda. Right? It's always like that. It's always like that. So functions, your list comprehension will always help you to write what? A reusable code. So if time permits us today, we'll take the class, then I'll be able to show us a bit of a practical. Just a few things, not in-depth practical, just to show the things I have on my slides so that you have a deeper understanding. All right, let's have it. Okay, what is a function? One thing you must know is that a function is a block of organized reusable code used to perform a single action. A function is a what? Is a block of organized reusable code used to perform what? A single action. Used to perform a single action. All right. Somebody said I should speak louder. Is it better now? Thank you. So when you look at the function, it's a muffled sound. Okay. How about now? Is it better? Victoria, is my sound better? So that we can go on. Okay. All right. Thank you, Rotimi. So when you look at what I have in color codes here, you can see the def, the function name, and the parameter. When you talk about the def, every function starts with the word def. Def just meaning that what I'm defining a function. So just like saying definition of the function. Then your function must also contain what you call the function name. What function are you trying to carry out? Is it which you sometimes we call what the placeholder? It's called the placeholder. It's telling us what type of a function are we carrying out. Is it an arithmetic function? Is it a polynomial function? Um, is it a cleansing function or what function are we trying to fix a role or are we trying to undo missing values? So based on the function, then you have your parameter. The parameter is the input. What input are you putting into this function? For what? For you to have that your complete function. So that's just it. Nothing so difficult. Just a def. Just know that anytime you want to define a function, it starts with def, it starts with your function name and what parameter you are trying to feed in. Please let's just take care this evening. I want us to listen because this is one of the basics that forms you writing reusable code. So that you find out that you're some programmers will write long codes and sometimes it becomes so clumsy that you can't even be able to read those codes. So when you use functions to write your code, it eases you that stress of having to repeat yourself over and over again. So you can reuse what that function in different ways. I'm sure most of you would have had Blessing talking about scripting. By the time you meet Blessing again this Friday, or sorry, that should be Saturday. Yes, I think that should be Saturday. The just should be for Saturday at 7 p.m. When you understand better what we are talking today. But as I've always said, before you go into the practical, you must know what you must know the theory. If somebody wants to learn how to drive, you must know that a car has what a clutch, that's for the manual car, that's a brake, that's the accelerator, and that's the gear. And from and if it's an automatic car, you know that it has just the brake and the accelerator, then the gear, you have your park, you have your reverse, your neutral, your drive, drive two, drive three, drive five, or drive four, depending on the kind of car. So that's what we're looking at now, function. So that code block I gave you, I did a table so that we can understand. I said def is a short name for what was defined. It's telling Python, hey, I'm about to define a function. Just like what I said, definition. Then the function name. I said this is the name you choose for the function. You should describe what the function does. Example, is it greet? Is it calculate area? Dependent on what you want your function to do. Then what is your parameter? I said it's always inside the parentheses and their parameters, their inputs, your function can accept. This acts like a placeholder for the data the function will use. Then you always have the column. At the end of every function that you are defining, you must have your column. The column is telling the Python that what this is a function body code. It's a block of code called a function. That's as simple as that. So I said, let me put this in simple terms for us. You think of your function like a blender. You have the function, your function is a blender. Parameter, which is I called what the placeholder, is the ingredient that you put in it. Then after you have arguments that follows your parameter. I say that's the actual fruit like banana or strawberries you add when using the blender. Then for every time you write a function or for any code you are writing, you are always expecting an output. Either a return, it could be called return, it could be called output. I said this is the smoothie you get out of it. So that's just what our functions, what the function looks like. I know Mr. Isaac spoke about this during the first class. A real world example of a function. I have def greet. You can see now. This is defining. You can see where my cursor is. The def says what we are defining. Our function name is called greet. What is our parameter? Our parameter is the name. I put comments because I've told us for you to be a good programmer, for every code you write, you must add comments. It makes you a very fantastic programmer. Define a function named greet that takes one input called what name. That is what this block is talking about. Def, sorry, let me go back. Def greet name. Then I put and say print f, you see, hello with name. So what I'm doing is that I'm printing a personalized greeting using the input parameter name. So what I'm just saying is that pick whatever name is supplied, pick it and print what hello with the name, whichever name is supplied. Then you can see now when I say greet edit, I'm calling what the greet function with an argument. Sorry, this should be edit. Then you can see that you have the what hello edit. So you can see that. You'll see that when we use whenever I open my Jupyter note today and we begin to talk about it. Right? Somebody said hello world. Yes, I could decide to say world. I say hello world. I could decide to say hello DSA AIML class. Something like that. Why do we use functions? Why do we use functions? Number one, function helps you to organize your code better. Like I told you, what's the essence of writing a code and you're having about close to 120 code blocks, where you can just have functions to carry out some things and your code block is neatly arranged. Somebody can come onto your code and it's reusable. Can pick up your code and use it to even carry out another kind of model building that is different from you using complete set of data. Then it avoids what repetition. You have the dry principle. That is, do not repeat yourself. When you see the dry principle in coding says what, do not repeat yourself. You can write functions that you can use in each step of your program instead of you repeating yourself. Then it enhances readability and maintenance. Yes, code readability. Just imagine you having or just dividing a function that is about 5 lines, carry out other work for you or other coding blocks and help you run them without you going to repeat calculate area several times. Then it says what it facilitates code reuse. Exactly. And that's the basis of using functions. Anytime you see a code that functions have been defined, it's for what? It's the key, it's the basis of what? of what of code reuse or writing reusable codes. All right, that takes us to the next slide. Defining a function. Before you write a function, you must define the function. And I said defining a function creates a reusable block of code that can accept inputs and return outputs. Remember when we did the first real life I showed you, def greet with me. This is saying define the addition function. Then in the function, what parameter are we adding together? Here you can have more than one parameter, but in this you're having two parameters. Okay, add A and B. Then I said define a function called add with two parameters with A and B. It's as simple. That's what this code block is saying. Everything you see here is just defining a function called add with two parameters. It could be more than two parameters. You might decide that yours should be A, comma B, comma C. Then you have a return. You know, I told you for every time you're writing a code or you're writing a function, you are always what? You are always looking for an output. You don't just write codes without having output. Exactly. Because you want to get something out of why you are creating that function. Then you tell it to return A plus B. You tell it what? Return A plus B. So it returns the sum of A plus B. So that's just how to define the function. First, you define the what? The function that is called, then you give the return. Then next, you call that function. Because if you don't call it, it doesn't give you the result you are looking for. Everything here from this first slide is just trying to tell us that okay, anywhere I see this, what is this is talking about is that I define a function that will always add two numbers together, or whatever it is you're adding together. And I told it to always return what? Return the sum of this. Always give me what this means here, that I'm telling you that A and B must what? Must be added together. Then how do we call the function to work? How do you call this function to work? And that takes us to what? Calling a function. I say calling a function executes the code inside it using the provided argument. The way it is now, somebody will say, ah, why come you are not using print? Well, if you use print also, it will do the same work. But just like repetition. Since I've already told it, return that my function anytime you see me use add with any A, this represents A, this represents B. I say call the function add with the argument 5 and 3. Then the result will be what? 8. You are going to see it when we are, if I'm going to try as much as possible so we can do some little practical. I sent some folders to us. I'm sure most of us should have gotten the folder. I put it there. We can also practice at our leisure time, but I'll try as much as possible this evening to make sure that we get to see what I'm talking about before our main what's it called, our main practical class on Saturday. So that's what it does. You must first define the function. And when you define the function, you must call the function to give you so you can get your desired output. All right. Then next, I wanted to talk about more about the function parameters and argument. Yes, even though I've spoken about it before we started, I just wanted to talk about it. I told us that parameters are placeholders in function definition. What are placeholders in function definition? What we want the function to do, the ingredients that we want the function to pick. And I was talking about function being a blender. So then arguments are what? The actual values passed to them. So anytime your return function that I showed you the other time, it's what? It's like an argument telling it to do what? To print. So you call the function, I say call the greet function with the argument Alice. So we have defined greet, defines a def greet name. That's our function that has set the name. Then we want to print a personalized greeting using what name parameter, which is print hello with this function here, name. So anytime I pick greet and name, and always remember, we said that anytime you find anything that has to do with a character, anything that has to do with a character, you see, you have to what? You have to put it in what? A quote. Please, if you can hear me, let me know. Because I'm sure A lot of people can. If you can't hear me, then it has to do with your network, please. 'Cause, I'm feeding myself back, and I can hear myself back on my phone. So this try and adjust your volume. I can hear myself back on my feedback phone. All right. Then you call the great function with what? An argument. So all you just do is that I told you to print this, but when I pick this, I put Alice in there. I'm telling him Alice is the argument name, which is the name I need you to to do. So please just let's listen when it comes to question time. Please hold your questions. Then we'll talk about questions when we get to the question session. It's a lot to do tonight. We have about 30 slides to go through. And I really want us to miss out on this. All right. So that is just the difference between your function parameter. The parameter is what is giving you what you need. The parameter name. So this is the person we are referencing. All right. Then when we put that parameter into the argument grid, we call it grid with the argument Alice. You see that we get our our name. When I say greet Alice, it's going to print hello Alice. Hello Alice. All right. Then return statements. We have spoken about it. I just keep on coming back to you so that you just keep on understanding because functions by the time you start your real practical, last week was just installation and some filters. You need to create functions yourself. Okay, I said return statements allow functions to send results back to the caller. Exactly. I told you do this. I need you to send me a result. I need you to send me a result. So beyond just defining the function, beyond beyond just putting giving the function a parameter, you also need the function to return the desired answer. So you define that. So everybody should be used to this. Now, this is the definition saying define a function. This is the function name saying square. Give me the square. I can say square root, or I can say double, whatever name you call it, whatever name you want to call it. Then x is your parameter. What do I want to feed? What is my x? My x is my parameter that I feed that will be called. So I say return when I call this function, I say it should return x times x. That is what my square means. Then I remember we spoken about variable. I will pass my square, my what's of my function into a variable and say result is equal to square of 4. What is square of 4? If I may ask us, if you say result is equal to square of 4 and we have defined the function to say square that is returning x times x. So if you have square of 4, what is our answer? What answer are you going to get? Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Abiola. 16. So you are saying what? Multiply 4 by 4. I say what? You call the square function with 4 and it stores result in what? In the result. So anytime I come back now and say print result, it always give me what? 4 times 4. Unless I change this what? This function that I've already defined. Thank you, everyone. Fantastic. Fantastic. So that is just it. So I've been able to talk about function now. We've spoken about parameters. We've spoken about arguments. We've spoken about return statements. These are all embodied in your function. These are all condiments of your function. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. The answers are fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate it. Then default parameters. You might just want to, okay, you don't want people to come in and you just want your code to always give default parameter and say, okay, it's just a guest. It's not personalized for any individual. You know, the first one we did get great. Anytime you want to reference the grid, as you say, name is equal to guest. So who will tell me now if you print hello, you print this hello with name? Who can tell me what our answer will be? What do you think we'll get? Printing greeting using the given of default name. What do you think this is going to give us since we are putting a default You're giving it a default what? A default name. What will it tell you? Hello, guest. Thank you, Alabi. That is fantastic. Ifeoluwa, Jackson, Olashade. That is great. That is great. That is great. All right. So this is fantastic. So hello, guest. Ezechi, Joshua. I can see all you guys. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Okay. All right. So let's move on. Then there's something you call keyword arguments. Keyword arguments. I want us to pay very good attention here. Keyword arguments. I said keyword arguments allows passing arguments using parameters names during calling a function. So you can actually use the function name and age. Well, what does it mean? Using parameter names. So it means that you can use more than one parameter with the name. So I say here, def display name and age. That's a function. So I define a function called display with what name and age as its parameter. So anytime I say print name and age, you can see now that it's a keyword argument. I said display, which we have defined here. I say age. Tell me your age when you come into my system. And I've already programmed the system to say anytime you put your age and your name, what is it going to tell us when I call the function using these keywords? And I say display age and name. So what is it going to tell us? Who can guess what this answer is going to give us? Quickly. All right. 25 or John 25. Yes. Either John is 25, 25. So thank you. Thank you. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So it means that yes, we are we are we are doing on. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please, if you have questions, hold them on to when it's time for questions. I will answer all questions as good as possible. So let's leave questions for now. I really want us to pick this up as our particular class. From those of us last week, I saw people say, "Wow, it's making sense now." Why? Because when we were talking about the theory, it was looking so what, so vague. What are they talking about? But when you start practicalizing it, you see, you see what is going on. Thank you, everyone. Good answer, good answers. I really appreciate it. I can see we are doing fantastically well. This is good. This is good. Thank you. All right, let's go to the next thing. What are the best practices for writing functions? You can see that our class is a bit shorter today because I need to touch some vital things because I need to show them to us also. So you can see, so what? Keep functions small and focused. You can see that every function I've written, they are not ambiguous. They must be short. Then you must use what? Meaningful names. All times you must use meaningful names. Then you must add doc strings and comments. You can see in all my functions I've add doc. When you talk about doc strings, let me take you back so that you understand what doc strings mean. So, I think it was in my first, should have explained that to us. Sorry, where's my first statement? All right, this is what you call a doc string. When you have this double column three times, it's called a doc string. This is a form of documentation when you are writing code. This is a comment. This is used for documentation. So I can keep on writing a statement and say, okay, this is what I'm actually doing step by step. All right. So let me go back again. Let me go back. Then handle errors properly. Exactly. Always write your code. When you're writing it here, that's why you have to keep them small and focused. So that errors will not, you won't have ambiguous errors. When I'm taking it to lists, you see the way functions are being defined when you are talking about this comprehension and you're using a loop. You see the difference. You have to write a lot of long things that if you are not careful, you miss something out, it gives error. But when you are just using your functions, your list function or this the general function, you just find out that everything is just seamless. So simple that if there's even an error, it's easier for you to just trace whatever is going on. You can just pick from where things have gone on. And you're like, wow, this is fantastic. So that is just the first part I've spoken about writing functions. And I told us why are we writing functions? So that what we can be able to create reusable codes. Because you will get to a time whereby you are just imagine me training training a model that about 7,000 images, just like what I'm working on now on pneumonia, trying to use chest X-ray. A break in translation. Sorry for that. It's a bit of rain. The rain is actually affecting the network. I apologize for that. If you can hear me, can I just see you say hi? Can I just see your eye on the comments? Because can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you see my slides? Okay. Still waiting for our responses. Can you hear me? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. All right. So now to our questions. Now to questions. I'll just take about three questions, then we'll go on. We have a lot to do this evening. The first question I saw was somebody said, how do we differentiate? I think that was the question. He said, how do we differentiate a key argument for a normal argument or parameter? Okay, I said a normal argument is passed by position. That's one thing you should know. The first value goes to the first parameter, while the second value goes to the second parameter, and so on. Just like when you have your def add, the open bracket A and B. So when I enter 5, 5 goes for A. When I say 3, 3 goes for C. But when you talk about a key word argument, it goes by explicitly naming the parameter. When I say x is equal to 10, or the way Python knows the parameter, the value belongs to no matter the order. So the first thing it will print, when just like the place where we had this now, I saw some people say 25, 20, 20, 25, what's it called? John. Okay, somebody can hear me loud and clear. That's good. So when I go back here, you can see when you talk about keyword argument, I put name here as first, and I put age here. When I say display, nobody noticed. I was expecting somebody to ask me, why didn't I first say name equals John and age equals 25? It didn't bother the way you arranged it. By the time it's printing, it's going to follow the function that you have set and print name first before it prints 25. You get it now? So that's just the difference. But for that, the other one, you can't turn it around. Anything you give for the first value for this, let me go back. Sorry that I have to go back. For those of us just coming, you might need to watch the video. So for this now, A and B, which is a normal function, any first value I enter goes to A. Any first value, if I like, let me if I go and do B is equal to, it will pick it and say that's the first one. But when you talk about keyword argument, if I like, let me turn it anyhow I want to turn it and put name, age, gender here. I start with gender is male, name is this and female. If you follow this what keyword, when you mean keyword, the way I have written it, the way I have specified it, I don't want it to change from what from what from what you have done. I don't want you to change anything from what I've done. This is the way I want it to come out. And this works when you are building models that you are having data that's coming and you want to pick some particular area. And based on the spreadsheet, your name, the way the spreadsheet has been sent to you, or the CSV file, let me use the word CSV file. The way CSV file has been sent to you, maybe name was put at the end, whoever arranged it. That's where data cleaning, everything, everything comes, everything comes in. So you can see that. So whichever way you have defined, as long as it has been defined this way, it gives you this. So what are the keywords here? The keywords is the name and the age. As I mean, what I mean is this is static. It cannot. This is not. This doesn't change. It brings it. Even though when you switch the keywords, it still prints. It still goes back to this display. And say, what function did you call, or did you create? So it says that the arrangement should be name first, age second. Even though I've said display age is equal to 25, and say display name as John as second, it comes back here and brings this here, name like this, and brings this here. Sorry, don't worry. Next time I'll use my whiteboard so it will be easier to use my pen. So it brings this here diagonally. So when it's printing John 20, 25. All right. What other question is this? Can we have the slide? The slides have been sent to you. I already sent the slide yesterday evening. So I'm sure a link should have been sent to you to get your slides, even the practical assessment that we are going to do tonight. So 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 those are those things that we need to talk about. All right, let's move on. So that let's go. Okay, then talking about list comprehension. I was telling us I was going to talk about list. I'm going to talk about a list comprehension. All right. Please, if you didn't get the slide, talk to the admin. Somebody said check your channel or your digital, please. All right, talk to the admin. Thank you. All right, let's go on. So list comprehension, I said it provides a concise way to create a list. All are you trying to do? You are just trying to create a list. And this general syntax, and Blessing will always tell us, and we keep saying it. See, that's why he loves Python. See, Python, everything is just in English. In an expression for an item, create in an expression, in an item, bring out this from the itinerary. What is it telling us? I have an expression for X. From that X, get me a range of numbers or a range of figures or whatever I need from it. It's just as simple as that. You see it in the next slide. Let's not get scared. All right, look at it now. I say number is equal to X for X in the range of what? Of 5. All this story that you are seeing here says what? Create a list of number ranging from 0 to 4. I remember the last class I took us, when I was talking about arrays, I told you that our machine learning accepts what? Numbers from 0. So when I say print a range of 5, you are not going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You are going to say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. When you count the length is going to give us what? 5. God bless you, sir. 0 is 1 for the machine. So the machine is seeing 0 as 1. God bless you, Mr. Babs. I love that. So you can see it. I've already told you, when I say print these numbers, it's going to print 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's as simple as that. So this comes in when you are trying to do when they talk about I think Mr. Isaac was talking about while loop, if then else, and things like that. But when you are using this comprehension, you can just, instead of you saying, you just say in X for X, find a range where 5 is greater than something, or 10, or where 5 is greater than than a number. It just articulates that for you. You don't need to start writing long, long list. Don't worry, you see it in action. When working on this same function, I need to have our internet on. No, you are using your Jupyter lab, which and the Anaconda that you have everything you do, unless you want to use like Google Colab and some other GPUs that are online, some other environment that are GPU enabled. But when we are doing everything we do locally. You don't need internet. All you need internet for is to download your data set, which I'm going to talk about where you get data set from. And you can also write codes to even get your data set, how to read your data set and things like that. So do we need internet to carry? No, you don't need internet to carry out functions. You carry out functions on your Roslyn and what's it called? Who's that? The other person that asked that question, you might need to go to last week notes. You might need to go to last week what's it called video and go and rewatch. So you'll be able to understand what I'm talking about. In fact, your first lecture, the second lecture, the practical class. Exactly. Exactly. All right. Junior okay, I will solve that with you. If you are downloaded Anaconda and Python and they are not it's not supporting your laptop, I'll give you an option. Please just remind me before the end of the class. All right. So now I'm now explaining. Look at list comprehension versus loop. I said list comprehension are shorter and often more readable than your traditional loops. The same thing I did here. Look at it. This is I just said number from this range, print number. You can see that we just add 2 lines of code. It's 2 lines because I made it bigger. This is on if this is on a straight line, this on a straight line, just 2 lines of what? Block code. That's what we're talking about. Reusable code. Codes that are simple to read. Now let me take you to the second one. Now, look at a loop. A loop will first tell you result is equal to this. It will first initialize and what empty list. It will not say for x in range of 5. It will tell you look through these numbers 0 to 4. Then append the answer you get for x as a result. Then you now print what? You now say result. Can you imagine? You now, can you see what? Can you see how many lines you've written for code? 1, 2, 3. Whereas this one is just result is equal to. It's as simple as that, which is there also. Print numbers as simple as that. So you need to go through this. If you don't do this, you try and particularize it tonight. You won't understand. Some people say, I can write code. I wrote 50 lines of code. I'll tell you, it's not the matter of 50 lines of code. Exactly, prof, fantastic. Known as tuples, exactly. Tuples. I don't want to be using. Somebody said I was using big terminologies. So I've tried to come down to everybody's level. So I'm using words like loops, list, and I say tuples now. Somebody will ask me what are tuples. Whereas I'm still talking about the same the same thing. So I'm just bringing it down to us so that we can get it as much as possible. Because these things become interesting when you understand the theory behind everything I'm talking about. When you get to practical class and you start, you just realize, oh my God, somebody said 50 lines of code is even small. Exactly. Somebody tells you, I've written 500 lines. My brother, you are just stressing yourself. Whereas somebody is doing smarter. He's smarter and he's just writing. He has written just 15 lines that is doing your 100 lines of code. And you're wondering, and I worked overnight. I didn't sleep. The guy is there. He has written 15 lines of code. He's in Bahamas, taking mojito. You are there. You're still sweating. You are drinking Gary. You don't know what is going on. So it's just it. And you hear Mr. Blessing be saying things like scripting. He loves that. He say Mr. Lagidi, put this thing in script. It's too long. Put it in script. And all of us now we now love scripting now. We don't want to say loop him everywhere exactly. Say work smart and not hard. Thank you. Thank you. So that's fantastic. That's fantastic. All right. So we're talking about writing reusable codes. And everything I've been talking about, starting from your functions, what is laughing? It's true. So starting from your functions, talking about your list, and it's just about what writing reusable codes. I want to be able to get to your code and be able to pick your code block and use it to write my own code without, you know, without me having to start, doing a long loop or tuple or this thing. I just pick that your own, fix it into my code, and write my own whatever code block I want to add to it. And before you know it, work is being done. If, imagine you are working in a team and you are the one creating the functions. You see how easy it is. You just be creating functions for your teammates. You make their life very easier for the execution of code. I was talking about CSS and cascading. For those of us that, if you have been worked with HTML and web design and things like that, you create a cascading what's it called? You create a cascading tool whereby you don't need to keep on calling colors already. Immediately you are put it there, you just keep calling that casing that you have put all your colors that you're going to use for the whole of your website, all the fonts and things like that. So you begin to call them. Anytime you do, you don't reference it. So you don't need to go and say again, color is equal to FB, you're writing the color code. This one. How many hours you want to spend? Yes, cascading style sheet. God bless you. CSS. Yes. So that's just it. That's the same thing we are doing here with functions or writing the reusable codes. When we talk about splitting. I say codes written to be used multiple times in different programs or parts. In fact, I was in a committee when we were talking about where we're sitting down and we're talking about um, research reusability or code reusability. And somebody was like, "Oh no, it doesn't score students until you see students when they write code like 100 lines, it means they are working." And yeah, I'm a young man. They faced me and said, "Yeah, Mr. Olajide, what do you think?" And I raised up my hand. They were professors and all of them. They are not a professor, never a doctor. A young man, and I told them, I said, "Sir, the age that we are in now is beyond the age of working. And yes, it's good to work hard. I know people that work hard. It's good. It's good. But now we are in the Gen Z world whereby a lot of projects have to be done. There are people looking for. Imagine me spending 3 days on one project when I can spend just 3 hours doing a project, and in a day I've done like 5 projects. I told them, I said, "Sir, we are young people. I know we are lazy Nigerian youths." Somebody said soft work. That's why I said it. Everybody laughed. Like, Jide, you have come again. And I said we are lazy Nigerian youths. I said we will work smart. We don't work hard. We got offended. How will you say that? He said, I said, "Sir, just joking. Sir. Yeah, young people are lazy. So lazy people will do lazy things, but lazy things also it gives us what product. There's productivity, and that's what we're talking about. It looks as if you are lazy, but there's a lot of technical thing in it. But when you do that, it saves you a lot of time. There's no bragging. I wrote 500 lines of code. So I said code you can use multiple times without rewriting. Then it helps maintain, yes, consistency and save time. Just imagine me, I've already defined the function. I've saved it in a script to run. I don't need to go back into it again. I don't need. I just need to be calling it. Maybe I've saved it. And that's why Mr. Blessing, you remember I said there's IPYMB, then there's PY. So when you're talking about PY, you're talking about what? A code script. When you're talking about IPYMB, you're talking about what? You're talking about what? A full Python code that contains all the whole this thing. Those old things that you wrote, you can put it in a very small container and begin to call it from your terminal. And here you begin to call it from your terminal, and your work just goes like that. So that's why we are talking about what we are talking about tonight. Principles of creating reusable code. Like I said, don't repeat yourself principle. What does it help you to do? It promotes using code instead of duplicating it, reusing of code. So it's dry. When you see dry principle, all it's saying is what? Don't repeat yourself. Why should I keep on writing dev.grid when I get to another block line of code, maybe line 35, I come back and say, okay, now a Chioma is coming in and I say dev grid open bracket name, the reference for Chioma. Then when I get to line code line 150, I have to do why not just call it from that and script it, put it in a container, and still keep calling that container. Maybe I just call that container grid.py. So anytime I need to put a grid, append this to add exactly. When I need to call grids every time, all I just need to say is just be calling grid.py, grid.py. So grid.py, wherever it is that owns that, wherever you put your name, you will just say hello if you are David, if it's GD, if it's blessing, if it's Isaac. I'm just doing that with one line of code with a return under it. So writing all over, over again. So that is just it. Then I say use modular programming. Yeah, this modular programming is Mr. Blessing's area. He loves this when I call it scripting. When I call it scripting. So I'm going to show us how to do this. Say we have something called utils.py, which is a common function. Then you have app.py, which is the main application logic. There's also main.py. There are loads of them like that. They are called this modular programming. You are the one that creates a script for yourself. Okay, I'm going to be needing addition at every 10 lines of code. Then you create a script for it, a function for addition. And if you don't want to do that, maybe you say, it's a bit difficult. You can import modules. There are modules that are already there already in your library. And that's what Mr. Blessing said. Python is fantastic. Python is fantastic. So you can import math. So that square that I told us to do, this is for square root. I can import math and say print math the square of 4. It will give us 16. Print math the square root of 16. It will give us 4. So if I don't want to use my modular program, which is scripting, you can call modules. There are modules. There's module for MATLAB, a lot of them. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me. So there are modules for that you can call. You can import modules, and that's what Mr. Bessie was telling you. When you are not talking of things like machine learning, you begin to import modules like PyTorch. Exactly. You begin to import modules like scikit-learn. You want to call in your models that you want to use, and then pretend models and things like that. So you begin to call them. So principles of creating. So don't repeat yourself. Number one, use modular programming. Exactly. Then you can import modules. Okay, look at importing modules. So importing modules allow you to use reuse of code across multiple programs. Yes. If I import math now, what I've said is that I've imported the library mathematics. So I can call square root, I can call polynomial, I can call standard deviation, I can call mean and all of them. So I can call circumference of a circle, I can call area of a triangle and things like that. As long as I've reference and say import this laboratory or library, sorry, mathematics. So you just do that. You find out that you don't need to keep on writing. That's why when we want to know those that are just learning how to code. When I started coding, and Mr. Blessing will laugh at me and say, Mr. Olajide, you've imported math or math plot life before. Why are you importing it again when you are trying to define it? You will laugh at me and say, you're gonna remove it, and put it, and just put it. Maybe you call it from the beginning. So it will work for you throughout the code because you have already called it. And that's why when Mr. Blessing will be teaching us when we are programming, you see that the first thing we do is import all libraries that you are going to use. We call all the libraries that we believe that we are going to use for our model, so that we don't keep repeating ourselves again. We reference everything we need to reference. We write all functions before the body of the program itself. So I know, okay, I need a function to do normalization. I need a function to undo missing values. I need a function to do standardization. I need a function to help me to do hyperparameter tuning for my system. Maybe I've not gotten a good accuracy and things like that. You see them coming up when you start building our models. When you start building models. So import your models. I just everything I explained there, I just put it into the bigger picture. And I say create your own module, like I said, your own scripting. I said you can organize reusable function into modules and import them when needed. Like your utils.py. You can create, you might not decide to call it utils. So I'm just calling it utility. You might call it utility.py. This is my utility script. I put inside this and say this function, def.name and print hello. Then I now come and say, can you see now? Inside, and I say make another file named main.py. You might call it greet.py so that you will remember. This is what I need. Now put import utils. You know, I've already made this one a .py. Utils. I will show you when we do that. All I need to go to is go to and say Python main.py. You see what it will print out for you. So what I've done is that I've turned these two into scripts. Into real. Somebody said, yes. It's like that. What I've done is that I've turned these two into scripts whereby this now is being referenced by this. So I report this thing. I'm the one that created the script by myself. So it's your script. You have created your own module, your own scripting. That's what I want to. That's what I want to do. So, so those are just the. How do you know that what modules to import when you haven't had a need for it? All right. Mr. Blessing will be explaining. I think he'll be answering that on the screen. So not very easy to grab. All right, sir. You might need to rewatch the video. Okay. You might need to rewatch. It's nothing is hard in this way. I tell people everything is easy, easy as long as we put our minds to it. All right. Then I just broke it down, creating your own module. You are running the main file. I say you open your terminal or Python editor and run this and run this. So this is the step. Excuse me. Excuse me. So first file you create, you define the grid function. That's what it is. Excuse me. Then your second file, you import what? Your utils and call the utils.grid function. Then when you run your main.py, you see the output. Thank you, Mr. Blessing, for the explanation. Thank you very much. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. All right. Then, okay, before we go to that, I don't want us to, because we're already at, we have about 9 minutes to our break time and things like that. So I want to show us some of those things that I've defined. I sent it to us anyway. So I'm going to drop my slide and share my screen. I hope you'll be able to see that. So I'm going to remove this from the stage. Then let me try and share my screen. Okay. If you guys can, let me see. Let me share now. Okay. All right. Can you see my screen? Can everybody see my screen? I want to be sure. Can you can you see the Jupyter Lab screen? Okay. Let me stop. Let me share again. Not yet. Let me share again. What about now? Not yet. You should be able to see my screen now. Okay. Everyone should see my screen now. You should see my screen now. And somebody just quickly before our break time. So I'm the other half of yes. All right. You should be able to see my Jupyter Lab now. So you see everything I've spoken about today. When I spoke about the basic function, definition of function, I sent this file to everyone, returning a function, default parameter, key argument, list comprehension, list versus loop, the loop, importing of modules. Then later you'll be seeing the other ones. So like the grid parameter now, this is the code I put in here. I said def grid. This is our definition. This is our function and this is our parameter. Then this is a personalized greeting to give us our output using our parameter. Then we can call this function. So if I run this, okay, let's run this. You can see it says what? Hello edit. Hello edit. So you can see that. So that's what I was just telling you. All it's telling you is that what? Since I've called this grid and I've given it a what? An input, which is edit. It goes and what prints what? Hello edit. Then here now you can see that I've defined a function. You can define a function here. If I define a function, it won't give you any output because I've not called the function. I always said define a function addition with parameter a and b. Return a plus b. Anywhere you see a and b for the addition means that it's a plus b. But if I call it and say a add 5, what I'm saying here is add 5 plus 3. See what happens when I run the code block. It gives you what? 8. Then I argue that if somebody might say, ah, sir, Mr. Blessing taught us we should be using print. Yes, you can also put it in print. If I do the same thing using the print also, I will also still get the same value. So it doesn't change. It doesn't change. So I could reference it this way because somebody might say, ah, no, Mr. Blessing said we must use print to print output. But when it comes to function, functions are so funny that as long as you meet that argument, you can call the function with that argument and it will give you your answer without having to use a excuse me, without having to use a print. So somebody said it is very kind. Okay, so I think it should be better now. So that's what we've done here for the basic function. We define the function here. We call the function I'm saying. We could call it as long as the argument has been met. Add as already a parameter in it. It will give you the answer. If you use print also, you also still get what? The same answer because you have the argument, the function argument. Then this answer here into result. Let's see what will happen if you saw nothing happened. What it has just done is that what? It has stored the answer into this. But how do you see the answer? You must print it. Somebody will now ask me, why didn't it work like this? It didn't work like this because we have already put a return function to say this is what we want. We have already stored the answer. We didn't allow it to, if I just said square of this already, we'll have made this function and done that. But since I put it in a variable name to call a result, I have to print it out. So all I need to do is press print, and you see that what the square of 4 is 16. So those are the things you'll be looking for. Excuse me. So that when you're writing your code, you have to be very, 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 very careful. There's something I didn't tell you when I was talking about what's it called? Default parameter. You know, default parameter already. I already put a default parameter here, which we already said here. Different from the Alice where we didn't have name is equal to guest. So if you run this function, you have run the function, but for you to call out to give you have to greet. You know, the first one said greet Alice. But now, since it's a default parameter, you don't need to put anything here. You just put the greet with the brackets and you print. It says what hello guest. Because what you have already specified here. But the first one, this first one here, you didn't specify. You said the argument must give, you must put something in first before you can get out an output. But here you have already specified the actual output that is guest. All you need to just do is say greet this. If I put print in front of it also, I'll still get the same thing as well. Hello guest. All right. Okay. Somebody said make your fields fuller. So that's just that for that. So I'll just drop my presentation. I just wanted to show you the things I've been doing that the same is still working out. So I'll get my slides back. So it's just to I'll send those files to you. You can try them on your own. So please let him maximize his Jupyter Lab. Sorry about that. All right. I just wanted to just do a bit of before our break. So I think I will be going for break now. So please, as we are going for break, don't forget to fill your what's it called? To fill our attendance. So our break will go up by 8. When we come back, we come and finish up. We just have about 8 slides left. 8 slides left. All right. Thank you. All right, welcome back, everyone. All right, yeah, we stopped at, excuse me. Okay, we stopped at slide 22, I believe. Okay, let's go now. Okay, so this is very important, very, very important. If you can hear me, just give me a thumb up. Give me a thumb up. You can hear me. So I know that we are together. If you can hear me, please give me a thumb up. Waiting for you guys. Can you hear me? Can you see me? We are back. Great. Great. We are back. We're back. Fantastic. Isaac, I can see you. Olakule, I can see you. Ifeolu, I can see you. Olani, I can see you. Alade, I can see you. Rotimi, I can see you. Jeremiah, I can see you. Bright, I can see you. Patient, I can see you. Christiana, I can see you. Fantastic. Ajayi, I can see you. Ben, good to have you back. Good, good. All right. All right. Sorry. Don't mind me. I have a bit of cold. Pardon me, please. So, we'll be looking at introduction to data sources. Like I've told us when we started, there's no model without a data. You can't create any model without having data. So where do you think you can get your data sources from? Or where do you think you can get your data from? Where are the sources of data? So I said what? Data sources are origins from where data is collected for analysis. Yeah, I put three here. I purposely just put these three here. I'm talking of web analysis. But we have more than that. As in my discussion today, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to introduce you to one of the best data source that we use, which is Kaggle. I'm sure most of us have used to Kaggle. I don't know. Maybe you've heard of Kaggle before. In fact, when you're looking for data source for your model or data for your model or data set for your model, Kaggle is one good place. But these ones are the ones that you can drag, you can get them by writing some codes, you can load them in and things like that. So you have your file, your file, which is your numerical data set. That's one of your data source. It's either in CSV or it's in Excel format. When it's in CSV, it's not formatted. When it's in Excel, okay, it might be well formatted like a data frame, it's in rows and columns. But you must still have missing values and things like that. Then you have your APIs, and a bit of web scraping. So Mr. Blessing is going to show us how to do a bit of web scraping. Yeah, yeah. I'm going to leave that to you. That's his forte. So I'll show you a bit of how to do web scraping. And I'll show you how to connect to API and do a bit of the file there. I go back to somebody said comma separated values. Yes, that's CSV. Excuse me. Okay. So then we'll go back to the Jupyter Lab notes again. That for those of us that didn't see what I was doing, that says the screen was too small, or I didn't increase the review, we finish and round up with that. All right. So let's go. Working with CSV, I say CSV is comma separated value files that store tabular data in plain text. Yes, it stores the tabular data in plain text. You just see everything on a straight line, all rows together, all columns together, and values together. They are just there. It's not in a tabular. It's not in a tabular form. That's how it comes in. How do you now read it? Somebody gives you a data and says the data is in the CSV format. How do you read it? That's why you need a library called CSV. This is traditionally, I'm teaching us the traditional way of reading a file. And I'm going to show us in our notes. You see how I'm written here is that what? Import CSV. Open your data, whatever the data name is, which is data.csv as a file. Read what is in the data using csv.reader to read the file. Therefore, the row in the reader print what the first print the rows. or print the first 5 rows. You see the way it's going to print. You see what I'm talking about. The time I'm showing you the practical. This is good to call in your CSV file to see, but when you want to search the first 5 rows, you see that your data is not well formatted. And this is where Panda comes in. Then somebody will say, ah, Mr. Lavidi has come with pandas again. Panda is just fantastic for reading in CSV file. It just it arranges everything and gives you the data in a fantastic format. Then I say what import panda and say PD. You know what it is now. PD. You know what that means. That is our alias. So that we won't be writing panda. Then you can see it say DF. So just turn it into a data frame and into what PD dot read the CSV. That's all. Look at this code 1, 2, 3, and look at this code 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are doing the same thing. They are doing the same thing. The two of them are doing the same thing. Print the first 5 rows. This is also doing the same thing. But look at what it took you. You first import a CSV, and you say we open this file. Then if you don't get these indentations right, you are in trouble. I'm not sure if Mr. Blessing has explained that to us. That in Python, indenting matters a lot. Matters a lot. So if you don't get it right, there's problem. But look at this. I just put my import, put this, and print. The only time I need to indent is my print to the right. And before you know it, everything is there. So we'll look at how to do that. Then working with APIs. Somebody was asking what is API. Yes, somebody said indentation matters a lot. Yes. Then API, the application program interface, that allows application to exchange data. You want to fetch data from the site. You want to fetch your data from the site. You need their API. It's always called the API key. You can get the API key. You're able to take like weather services like stock prices. So you can pull what? You can pull a data set. Maybe you know the API key and you know the name of the data you are looking for. You can pick it. So the API allows applications to communicate and fetch data. Examples of such data are the weather services or stock market prices. Then this is just your simple code for getting what? For getting processing an API. The first one, you have to use the library called import request. Then you write response, so you want to get response. Then this word called get. When you send get means what? Get goes to the server where you need the data from. Goes there and carries it, it brings it back. It brings it back to you. Then you cannot print the data, say your response in JSON. So there are other formats. If you don't want it in JSON, you can say you want it in CSV format, whatever format you want your data to come into. So that's just accessing APIs. These are things you will see on Saturday. They're very, very, very okay. All right, fantastic. Then basis of web scraping. We're almost done with our topic for today. It's just core. Core. Yes, I'm rushing the slide because I want to go back to the Python practical. Everything I'm talking about here, you see how it's working. So it's just listening to what I can tell you now. I have limited time because by the time we start going through, I know a lot of questions will start coming in. All right. So web scraping comes in. There's something called the beautiful soup. You don't know, it's a library now. It's a new library. Anyway. It's a new library which you can use. It also works like the way you use your API. But now this does it. What this does is that it goes into multiple. You can give it multiple. What's it called? Multiple websites and tell it to go and get the kind of data set that you need. So you can store the data set maybe in a text or whatever way you want it to look, whatever you want it to look like. Exactly. So thank you, Mr. Blessing. Mr. Blessing will be helping me to tackle the questions on the comment link. So the basic thing we're just doing today was just to talk about writing, working on it, what usable codes, then working with data sources. So before I close, I'll take us to Kaggle. In fact, this is where most of us By the time we are doing our project, there are other places. You have the Mendeley, you have the NIH data, and this thing. You have them. You are working whatever you are working on. There are lots of different what's it called, um, repositories for you to get data set. But one that I know that you can get vast amount of data set for is your Kaggle. So I'm going to drop my slide here because I think we are done with the slides for true. Okay, let me just summarize. So we've talked about functions. Write once, use many times. List comprehension, create your list faster. Reusable code, you need to write smarter. And I said data sources, foundation for real world projects. You don't have data, you cannot create models. Like when we were discussing the garbage in, garbage out. What do I want to feed my model to give me the desired output? It is your data. And where do I get my data from? You must understand where you get your data set from. So let me drop my screen slide and share my screen there. If you have questions, keep them down because we still have time for questions. We still have about close to 42 minutes left. Okay? It's a beautiful soup. It's sounding very fun. Exactly. That's a good thing about programming. You see, you can create. That's what I told you. Someone, whoever created beautiful soup for web scraping, sat down one day and just looked at it. Okay, what do I want to give it? Just like when Mr. Isaac was explaining to us about Python. He said somebody was watching a show. He loves a show. I can't remember. I think it was a circus or something. When I heard it, but that was the first time I was hearing that. I was like, wow, this is fantastic. Even I have been using Python. I didn't bother. I just one thing is because for a long time I just realized that programming environments just have funny names. They have funny names. So it makes me laugh. So when I saw Python, I know. First I was thinking, why did he make it Python? Maybe because you know the way the snake is so sneaky and so fast, and I see the way Python is. Python is just so you know how to do. You know how to you can manipulate things that will take you time to do using maybe your Java or whatever programming. Python is just so sleepy. You can see us creating reusable codes instead of me trying. I know they do that too in Java also. I think there's something like that, JavaScript and things like that. So it's just wonderful. It's just so wonderful. So this brings us to the end of the slides. So then I'll go into Kaggle. Then from Kaggle, then we'll now move it back into the Jupyter notes. All right. Okay, so let me drop this and present with my screen. Okay. And let me know when you see my screen, please. When I share my screen, I might not be able to see your chat, so I'll just have to bear with me. Mr. Blessing will keep me posted if you can see my screen. Okay. I'm sharing my screen at the moment. When you can see my screen, just let me know if I'm still here. Can you see my screen now? You can still see me. Okay, what's happening? Okay, I think my screen should be up by now. You should be seeing me and you should be seeing something that looks like an infinite olive. Exactly. So that's my screen. Okay. All right. So let me take us to Kaggle. I'll just go on your browser and just type Kaggle. See Kaggle. So if I go to your machine learning and data science community. In fact, it's just so explicitly explained. So this is just my Kaggle. This is my Kaggle home. A bit of things I've done, data set I've worked on, notebook I've done about 50% contribution and things like that. So you have some things when you come on it, you look at your work, you can check your work and see what work have you done, what data sets do you have and things like that. But the major reason why I'm bringing us here is that you can get your data set from from here. You can see somebody, let's say, stroke numerical data set, type stroke numerical data set. You see a lot of people who have worked on that. So let's pick this. So how do you know where your codes or what your data that you're looking for is? The input when you see the notebook is just the Python code of whoever has worked on it. So when you want to get your data, you just come to the input. So you can see it says this is health data stroke data set. So I can click on this to download. Whenever I click on this, I download it. It's coming in a CSV file because it is a numerical data. You can see it's already named CSV. So whatever the model you are thinking of building. So let's say maybe we want to talk about maybe weather forecast or something. Let me see, maybe there's something for weather exactly. Weather data set. You can see that there's weather data set. If I click on that, NYC daily. Okay. If I come to data here, you can see that it says it has some data being tracked. In fact, this person has taken it his or her time to tell you the field you will find in the data, what they mean. So if you are building a model, what model are you building? And you can understand that you can see your data set. This is a very heavy data set because it's weather focus. So it's almost 639 MB. Most of the times, most of those data sets are in KB. If you're having anything very high, maybe this is the highest I've seen for now, close to 639 MB. Unless there are images, then you have images. But when it comes to numerical data sets, this is just very high. Images you have close to 2.4 gig, 1.2 gig, 1.7 gig. Sometimes you have 3 gigs or close to 4 point something gig because you're working with images. But for our training, we'll be working with numerical data set. So any data you are looking for. So I think I will try to encourage every one of us now. At this stage now, you know you are going to be writing a project. So you need to start thinking of, I think that should be, maybe that's this week I should be talking about project selection and a lot of things. I think next week we'll be having a group activity and things like that. So I'll be able to talk about these things. But I think now you start familiarizing yourself based on your field, whatever field you are, before coming into AI/ML. What do I want to do? What gap have I found? Or what have I seen that I think I can do? You can come here and come and check for data. You can check for data. I and Mr. Blessing and Isaac are more of a medical, even though we work on other data sets, anyway, we work on different fields. I think Mr. Blessing just finished something that has to do with I think he was talking about I can't remember again. There's something about networking jam or something like that. So we do a lot of things, but basically I work on disease classification, disease diagnosis, disease segmentation. I think Mr. Isaac does the same thing also does other. Again, looking for someone to do something on breast cancer. I can just say breast cancer data set. That's the good thing about so lovely about the internet. You can see the first thing they brought up. You bring out Kaggle, and it will tell you all that you can see UCI machine learning repository. So it's not only just Kaggle that you will find a lot of repositories. You see Zenodo. There are loads of them. See Mendeley that I was talking about. This one I got my SQL cell anemia data set for. So Mendeley is there. There's GitHub. You can go to your GitHub also, you get data sets. So there are loads of libraries for you, or I say libraries, repositories for you to get data sets. So I will encourage us this weekend. You can, or during your leisure time, or you have a free break time or something, just try and explore and say, okay, this is what I think I should work on. This is what I think I want to do, or I want to exploit this. Or you see somebody speak about something, or there's a particular thing you've seen, okay, can I actually do that? Can I classify them? When we start getting to where you use classification models, when you use regression models, when you use prediction models, then you now begin to understand, okay, this my data set. Is it good for prediction? Is it good for classification? Is it good for regression? So this is just our second week. So we're just still doing wake up, just waking up ourselves with theoretical aspect of what we are doing. All right. All right. Okay. So back to that then. Lastly, somebody said cargo requires internet or cloud based. Yeah, exactly. Okay, Mr. Blessing is answering the question. Thank you. Like I told us, it's always best for you to what's it called? to just download your data and come and work on your local machine. Everything I do, the only time I do anything that has to do with internet is when I'm working with something like this. Let me go back to my home page. This is my work. All right. So I just did this model, I think this was 6 days ago. I was working on this model for a journal that we just submitted to and it was accepted. So I was just trying to do. You can see this model is classifying pneumonia into. So I needed to use the GPU. You can see here. So GPU because what I'm processing is higher than imagine. I need to train models. I need to train retain models like your ResNet, your DesNet. These are deep learning models. So I need to train them. And if I use my system, when I use my system, I think it took me almost close to 18 hours, and I didn't get the right accuracy I was looking for. But training with the GPU using online resources, under 2 hours, I was done. Everything got done under 2 hours. You can see training the system was telling me when they printed the accuracy and things like that. These are things you'll be doing also. By the time you get to the main practical, you are building your model. But when you are training numerical models, it doesn't need much higher capacity of computer memory. So you see something you talk about when we're talking about evaluation matrices, you'll be seeing things like confusion matrix. You want to know when do I use what evaluation metrics. So things like that we are still coming to that. When you check our course content, you see that we have not just we are just been still touching the tip of the iceberg. So these are things that you still put on your head, you still know. So you can see by the time I told you to plot the performance summary for me and based on my three models. And I told you to recommend. So you can also write code for you to look at this and recommend the best model for whatever I want to do. And they told me is the efficient net. So based on accuracy, sensitivity, and specificity. So those are things that we still meet up as we are doing it. So I just, as I said, get used to your data set and start looking for data set now so that you don't get this. I'm sure now this is big enough. I think everyone should be able to see this now, which is better. Is this large enough? So this is large. This is large enough. Right. Let me see. Somebody says, I've been establishing your answer that. Can you see my Jupyter lab, please? Let's quickly so that we can go on. Okay, somebody says zoom. Zoom, I should zoom more. All right. Let's do more zoom. Let me just enlarge now. Okay. Is this better? Let's try I'll zoom more. Let's do okay. Right. Let me see the comments. Is this better? No fear. Wow. This is not large enough. This I just need somebody to answer so that we don't waste time. We have 30 minutes left. Is this large enough? Maybe admin can help me out. Admin, is this good enough? Can we see this? Let me just. Okay. What about this? All right. Okay. Great. So everything I've been talking about. Okay. So let me refresh the panel so that I'll clear all the inputs and we can do it all over again. Okay. Sure. Great. Okay. So later I'll be telling us how I did this formatting just using simple HTML code. Like double click on it, you can see just header, just a simple HTML code. So there's nothing fantastic about that. Just change it to manual. There's something everybody can do. So that's why it's looking like that. So we spoke about the basic syntax for your function. And we've spoken about what defining the function. This is the definition. This is the function name. And this is the parameter that name. For us to call any argument, we need a name for it to print it out. So then I've defined that. I've given it the personalized greeting using the parameter name. Then I'm calling the function now. I want to call the greet function with the argument and edit. So if I do that, all I need to do is just run the cell block. It gives us what hello edit. So all I've said is that anywhere I put my name, if we change this name here and say blessing, and I will run this code, it's going to change. So for every time the parameter changes, or the argument, sorry, the argument changes, you get a different answer. If I say my name is um, okay, so anything you do, anything I call the name, it's still going to work. That's all there. So it means that it has responded to this, telling that anytime I call this my function, always print hello and then and give me this. All right, then we spoke about defining a function. I said you must first define a function. That's which we have learned about here. Then you can put a return to the function also to tell it that what I'm saying is when I define this, what I'm saying this is doing is what is returning a plus b. But I explained to us, this will only just create the function alone. You won't get any result. When I roll, see, you see there's no result because what you have not yet called the function. The first tab, I put everything together plus the definition of the function and the calling of the function. Now we now call the function. I said pick the function and I put the what? I put the arguments in it. So if I call this function now, it gave me 8. Then I suddenly was expecting that somebody will ask me what happened. Mr. Blessing has told us that we must use print to bring out output. No, functions are so funny that maybe you have left the correct argument and you can call that function with using the arguments that are correct. It will work out. All the same also, because some of us say, oh, you didn't use print now. I'm confused. So I decided to say, okay, even though I put print, I'll still get the same answer. But because we have met this condition, it will give you the answer. If you also add print to it, it will also give us the same answer. Then return function. I just try to explain return function again. Yes, about that. Yeah. So we spoke about return function again. We have defined the function, we have return. But now, when you say return, you are not saying place the answer, whatever you get from here, place it into this called result. And this is what you call what? A variable name. I could call it answer. Okay, let's do something. If I put it here now and say this, I will run it. Let's run it. But now, because I placed this answer, I placed this answer into here, you will now need to print the result for you to get your answer. You need to print your result. If I change this and say this is answer, and come here and run it, it will save it. But if I say you print it, it shouldn't print it. You know why it's printing is because my cache is already stored here. My cache is still storing this answer. So that's why you must be very careful. Anytime you are creating a program, always you see your kernel, you must restart your kernel to restart from so that you can clear. You shouldn't print result because this is answer. I've already changed this name to answer, so you must be very, very careful. So those are the little things, Mr. Blessing, I'm sure you'll be talking about. You need to know. That's why they tell you keep your variable names, keep your function names, keep them as simple as possible. And if possible, if you are creating functions yourself, have a notebook. Me, I do it. I don't know. Some people use you can use a what's it called online book or what do you call it, notepad. Well, I have a notebook. Where's that? I have my notebook where I put my function. Sorry, don't mind the sunflowers. My daughter that designed the sunflower on it. So I have a book where I write my functions. I write my function names that I created myself, my reusable functions. So you do that. Now we'll come to default parameter. You know, I was explaining to us the difference between default parameter and the normal parameter. In this place here, you have not given this parameter any value. So until you supply the value before it will print. But for this, you have already given it a value to say anybody that comes in, immediately the person comes in, just say hello guest. Don't wait for the name. Don't give the person a these things now. When Mr. Blessing teaches you how to convert this into a flask that looks like a web application that it showed you. By the time you're prompting the computer tells you what is your name or something like that. So when you type your name, then it now greets you and say hello. But now you have given the computer and say anybody that comes in immediately, we don't want to ask for their name. We don't want to spoil anybody's name. All we need for them is just let us just greet them so it doesn't look as if they're just coming just to make it good. So we just define the function as anybody who comes onto the system is a guest. So if I do that and put, so I don't need, there's no argument because you have already stated it here, so you don't need to repeat it here anymore. So when I print it, it says what? Hello guest. Hello guest. Let me look at the chat so I'm sure that I'm being one along. Mr. Blessing, please help me answer the questions on the chat box. So I don't come. You can, if you somebody say, can you use you can use SQL dependent on that's why I say it's your naming. You are the one naming it. So whatever you want to use, as long as you know. But there are some you have to know that there are some other arguments that are machine resident also. So these are the things you need to understand. Then the key arguments we were speaking about, that's what he was asking me. I said, we have defined it that well, this is name, comma this. So when you say display this, we reference age before what's our time? We reference age before John. Notwithstanding, your system will go back and maintain this one because this is what you have told it to do based on the way it is arranged here. And you have already told it to print name before age. The only reason why this would have worked is if you have put age here. But when you have called the function, you have also told it that you must also anywhere I enter, anywhere, any hour I enter it, I must print the name before. So when I do that, you see, you place the name before what? Before the age. Because you have told it from what's it called? From the function, and setting the parameter. You have also told it again. When you are printing the output, the name must always come before what? Before, excuse me, before the age. So in this comprehension we spoke about, just 2 lines of code to create a list. I want to create a list ranging between the number 5. So this is what I do. I'm saying the output, that's why I said the output will be this. So if you count it, the length is 5. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your computer will not write it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Computer will start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now look at the same with loops. Look at how many things I have to write with loops. Result is equal to the first initialize the empty list. Let's say from x in the range of these 5. That is, we are looping through. Then append each number to this called result. Then you must print the result. So if I do that now, you see that the same thing that you wrote in 2 lines here is what these 4 lines is doing. The same thing that you have done in 2 lines. So we are talking about what? Reusable code, codes that are smarter, codes that are cleaner, easier to read. 2 lines is doing what 4 lines is doing. Which would you prefer if you're writing your program? You prefer to use the 2 lines down. Because sometimes you might be so surprised that you will not remember this your pen. You go and miss D out of it. And it's just all your work that you've done. And so funny enough that if you don't know how to debug errors, you might be there for 1 hour, even though it will tell you that there's an error. Okay, let me try something and see if let's try. Let's try it again and see. I remove that. Now you see, he said, see what he said now. List object has no attributes append. If you don't, if it's somebody just imagine you have like 500 lines of code. If you are not careful, for you to find this append, so you don't wonder what is this in append, because your brain is telling you there's nothing like append. You are wondering what was it talking about append. If I print result, you see that there's nothing because number one, I've missed something out in it. So if I return the D, that go back and run the reporting mode to use square, it will give you as SQL. This is square root. SQ is square root. So you can import module to do that. So if you do this, it's easier. Just say import math library, then print math dot square root of 16. It gives you 4.0. All right. Then look at working about CSV. I need to do something so you understand what I've done. Anytime you are trying to work with your CSV file, maybe you want to read your CSV file, you must have that CSV file downloaded. So I've already gotten my CSV file, sorry, which are stored inside here. So I put it together in my folder where I have where I have this code. Then I just copy. I didn't copy the file part. I just copied the name using double column. If I was to use the file part, I will use single what? As a column, single bracket, as a bracket tags instead of the double tags. So if what's this saying? I'm saying import pandas as PD. I told us these are aliases. Python allows you to use aliases. Then load the data set from the data frame that is from this data. Then I call the name of the data, which is here. Then insert the first few rows of the data set. If I run this now, can you see? So it has told me everything. Look at my rows here. I have serial number. I have my serial number, the age. I have the sex. Then these are the other features like a regular cell and thing. So it gave me just gave me like maybe the first 5 rows. Because I've enlarged my screen, so it's cropping it together. But it gave the first 5 rows of it because I used the word eight. All right, now look at the same thing here. The same thing using just importing CSV using the traditional read in. Let's see what this is going to do for us. Can you see the way it printed the data set? If I tell you to explain this, can you explain this? This here and this. How do you explain it? Very clumsy, very difficult to actually work on. But there's a way around it also. If you are good with your coding, I can modify and say, okay, I don't want it. I just want you to print. See what I've written to do. Can you see what I'm telling you? Why we say pandas are fantastic? Let's count how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To do the same work that this is doing. That's 8 lines of code, right? Therefore, this how many lines of code? 1, 2, 3. Let's print it so that you understand what I'm saying. I'll print this for you now. So, can you see? Even though it has printed the same thing that has done, but using your CSV, import your CSV, will only be what be giving you the data sets in like a CSV format. So can you see that it's putting comma, put the rows first, the headers first, then each value into list. But Panda will always give you like a data frame in a table format, and that is the reason for using pandas. Someone that was asking me, why are we talking about pandas? Number one, pandas make you to read in your data set in a well organized way where you will be able to inspect if there are errors. Okay, I need to drop some rows that are empty so you can easily inspect. Looking at this now for you, it's easier to tell you that for where there's zero, patient zero, the hemoglobin level is 9.6. For where there's patient one, please, how do you tell me here now using this for the first 5 rows? How can you explain to me which patient has 60.1? If you don't write it out, you need to write out and match it. You now count how many excuse me headers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, it's 11 headers. So where is 6.3? You now count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, which guys on 6? You now count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, MCV is the one that has 60.0. Whereas using that one straight and read, oh, this is the figure for that. This is the hemoglobin level, the level for that. Lastly, talking about API, told us Mr. Blessing will handle sorry, web scraping for our practical things. So API read this thing. I just tried a very basic API using open weather. Open weather. So I've told it now. Now help me request. I need data. I need data, call the name. but I didn't add the API key because I have not registered. If I register, I'll be able to get the API key. Let's see what it's going to tell us. So did you see? It says what? Code 4.0 invalid API key. Please register. Go and see this place to get more info. Because what? I didn't what specify an API key. Well, assuming I had an API key and I had it here, put it here where it says your API key equals to, I just put the API key. If you don't get this data set from me. So that's how API works. On Saturday, you will see Mr. Blessing will get real API keys also and do that. So these are just the I've sent this, we've sent every package to this so that you can go and try them, understand them. Then hopefully I'm being told that the WhatsApp group is coming up this week also. But when you have questions that you don't, you see that they are a bit tricky, you can get back to us on that. So I think okay, how many minutes do I have left? Right. So somebody said Panda is the goal. It's flat file. Okay. All right. So we'll need to what? Just look at it. So that's the essence. In the class, like I tell people, and I keep telling us the truth. I saw somebody say, Mr. Lajide is a Nigerian lecturer. I'll be sincere with you. Mr. Blessing and Mr. Isaac can bear me witness. Our lecturers were white men and they were not as patient as this with us. You can bear me witness on that because they expect that most of your business should be self-study. You are taught the basic and you go and learn each of the rest of it by yourself. But we've been able to come down to be able to help us a bit to understand that yes, we're coming in. So I don't want us to fret as much as what you can listen to me. Somebody says, am I allowed to use, as Mr. Blessing answered that, okay, am I allowed to use data from Kaggle without legal? Yes, yes, it's a free, it's an open source repository. Open source repository. Anybody can you can go, you can see when you check my, you can see I say there are versions. I created versions. So you can come to my code here. If you have seen something that I didn't do very well, or you have an improvement, you can come here and pick my notebook and rerun. You can see this version 2. I did a version 1. What I got, I didn't love it. I did a tuning, changed some models, tweaked some models again. I did version 2. So you can come back here and come and put your own input also and add it to my own and say, okay, what Olajide did, we didn't use the latest model. I want to use a transformer model or something model. When you come, then you save it as version 3. So you're allowed to build on people's work because it's a community for open source community where people can exactly. So any data you find on what's it called? Kaggle is open source. The only thing I warn you is that there are ethical issues about data sets that you need to know. You need to know. We don't share data set via WhatsApp or there are ways to share WhatsApp to share data sets. Want to share data set between yourself and your colleague, then you are how would I put it? Then you are sending it through WhatsApp. It happened to one of our friends. He almost lost his patency because of that. They did a what's it called? A competition. So somebody says send them the data set. He just sent it and uploaded it to WhatsApp, and they won the competition. But one of the judge, I don't know why she found out, and she got upset. Like, no, they cheated, they broke ethical rule. Data set is not supposed to be passed. It took us about months, which months, close to a year before they gave him his award. Before they gave him his award, he won the award around 2023 December. He got the award November 2024, almost 1 year after, because he just shared the data set via WhatsApp. So one of the first things we do, you find out that every data set you get from Kaggle, they're always compressed. They are compressed. So the sharing data set should be something that everybody can see. Everybody can see. So it's being compressed. You compress your data set and you share through their channels based on whatever project you're working on. You see when we are telling us to submit our data sets or we're telling us to submit our works, we are going to be giving you practical how you are going to be submitting data sets. Well, in fact, Mr. Blessing is going to take the time also to take us through GitHub on how to create portfolio so we can transfer. There are some repository where you can share data on. So you share your data sets. So I think that will be all for tonight. We looked at functions, we looked at list comprehension, we looked at creating reusable codes, benefits of creating reusable codes. Uh, we've spoken about working with files or data sources where you can get your data and things like that. Data set is the same thing as your data. When you talk about data set, it means that a lot of data have been put together into a pack. So it's just like your matches. When you have bring out a match from your match box, it's a match. When you put inside a box, it becomes a box of matches. A box of matches. So when I mean data set, I talk about collection of a lot of data. A lot of data. So that's what the meaning of data sets. Data that has been combined together. So thank you very much. Joshua. Data set a collection of data. Thank you. Thank you very much. Organized for your use. Exactly. So just like I've used the example of matches. When you have a match in a box, it's a box of matches. And you remove one out of it, it's just what? It's just a match. So it's not a hair. But when you have them together as a pack, as a collection, it's called a data set. All right. So I don't know. I'm still looking at is there any question? Is there any other question? I'm looking at no, Mr. Blessing has been able to help me. As yes. Thank you. You will need to rewatch. Yes, you need to rewatch. I picked something from. I think Mr. Blessing will laugh at me and say, "Pastor." I picked something from Daddy Gio. He says, "If a genius has to read 3 times for you to pass, then for those of us that are not geniuses, we might need to read 30 times." Exactly. So, and I know practice what brings about perfection. So the more you do things, and it's just not watching the video alone. Every Python file that you're sending to you, you need to lay your hands on it. When will you start recoding? Recoding has started from last week. By this week, now Mr. Blessing is not going to be talking about um, go and load your Panda, go and load your Anaconda, go and load your Python. Straight, the next thing he's teaching us is how to get data sets. You collect your data set. He's going to be teaching you how to clean data sets, remove missing values, do some normalization. And as he's turning on the system, he's expecting you also to turn on your system. And he says, open your Jupyter notebook. You are opening it. And that's what I'm telling us. Don't let us get carried away with this comment box. When it comes to hands on, I don't expect comment box to be moving at all. I have to be sincere with us. I know somebody will say I'm sounding like a Nigerian, but truly, you must follow what he's doing. He's telling you, turn on your notebook now, or your Jupyter notebook, or your Anaconda, or your Python. You are turning it. From practical class, I started since last week. But it started with installation and everything. Where do you get data source from? So let's add into your what's it called? Into your Python notebook, calling some Python library, and it will tell you how to view the first 3 rows or first 5 rows to see, okay, what does the data set look like? Then do they have missing rows? It will teach you the codes on how to check, okay, for missing rows, or are there rows that you need to drop, or are there things you need to do? Then you will now look at something, there's something called normalization. Maybe you are trying to classify 2 types of diseases, and one is more than the other one. How do you make sure that they are both balanced, so that your model will not there's something called overfitting, there's something called underfitting. So those are the things you'll be hearing henceforth now. Practical application. Everything I'm teaching you, they are just the basics you can learn for. Sorry about the glitch. The glitch. I'm having network because of the glitch. Sorry about that. Okay. So somebody said my screen is not. Sorry. I'll work on that from next time. I myself, I noticed it. Last week it was better, but I don't know what's happening this week. All right. So we'll be seeing everything I've spoken about, everything Isaac will speak about in Mr. Blessing's class. But you must know the rudiments of driving before you enter into a car. You must understand that there's a clutch, there's some things like that. That's what we're just doing. Naturally, if you wanted to take this class, we won't even take anything on. We just push you into the practical board. I just look at it that it doesn't look well when you're trying to bring people into a new field and you just start going into practical. You should know some rudiments as well. So thank you for understanding. Thank you for the question. I really appreciate everyone. I really appreciate you all. You've been keeping us on our toes, and I'm happy that a lot of us, when I look at the screen for where you have the comments, I see people are following. And for those of us that think that we are not following, we are following. When you go, then I have some resources I want to share with us also. So if I don't get the WhatsApp group, I've downloaded those two resources that helped me when during my own time when I started. So I'm going to put them in a link, give it to the admin and moderators or DSA moderator to send it to us. So when you go through them, you see the easy. I did some easy steps. I call them cheat codes, cheat codes. Yes, for you to know them. They are very good also. Even though you know the rudiment, they help you to work faster. See, and my calendar did not add to part. Please help. Mr. Blessing will sort that for you. So I think I have about how many minutes left, please? Right. So I just have 2 minutes left. Any other question? Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Christiana. Thank you, Masha. Thank you, Igwe. Yetunde. Thank you. Thank you. I see all of you. I'm really excited. I'm really excited. I'm happy that we can all learn from you. And I must tell you, if you ask my people, we are also learning from you guys. You guys task now are going to do more for you. I'm very happy. I'm very happy. So feel free to have told us. I've told all of us, stop waiting for the WhatsApp group. We are on LinkedIn. Send us a message on LinkedIn. We'll reach you back. In less than 2 hours, we are back answering you. I know about that. If it's that, we're always abreast of our notifications. So thank you all. Thank you all. See us on Wednesday. You'll be having your favorite lecturer, which is Mr. Isaac. I said, yes, Isaac. Mr. Isaac is slower than me. He doesn't talk as fast as I thought. All right. Thank you all. Have a good evening. Bye.